welcome to the fourth episode of my video blog about my PhD life in Denmark. It's the final episode already, and so as I promised, I will not talk about university anymore, but rather about general life in Denmark. So when I was thinking about what to talk in this episode, I thought I would look up some of the typical cliches and misconceptions people have about Denmark, but a quick Google research showed me more about the ignorance of the Google users than about actual cliches about Denmark. So I thought I will skip that and I will just talk about my personal hit list about things in Denmark. First, bikes. Most of the Danes use bike as a very normal means of transportation, so old people, young people, business people, dressed up ladies, you will really see all parts of society on their bike on the streets in Copenhagen and Denmark. Basically all of my Danish colleagues up to the head of the department, they use the bike as their means of transportation to come to work very often. And it's not only meant for transporting one person, but they transport everything on it. So their kids, their groceries, sometimes even furniture. You will see everything that on bikes. And in consequence, the infrastructure is well adapted to that. So there are broad bike lanes, which really function as bike highways, and also public transportation is well equipped to deal with the bikers. So especially in the S trains, you have the possibility to just take the bike with you in this designated departments for biking, which actually can get super crowded during rush hour. On the other hand, cars are very often quite small, and you will also see a huge number of quite fancy electrical cars driving around, which is most likely due to the high taxes that the Danish authorities impose on fossil-fueled cars. So actually you pay up to 180% of the purchasing price again in taxes on it, and that pushes everyone a little bit into the more sustainable direction, obviously. And what's more, Danes, they bike during all weathers, come rain, come snow. And as you might know, since you're smarter than the common Google user, Denmark is up north and it's surrounded by the sea. So the weather is pretty windy and pretty rainy quite often, and it changes quickly. So it took me 1 or 2 or 3 very wet bike rides until I learned that sunshine now doesn't say anything about the weather in an hour. So better be prepared, take your rain jacket and maybe also a pair of rain pants. And as it is quite up north, it also gets quite dark in the winter. So although there are beautiful sunsets and sunrises, the days are just painfully short. And this is maybe the reason why the Danes come up with yet another of my favorite thing, which is hygge. Danes say that hygge is an untranslatable thing, yet it roughly translates into something like coziness. But yet it is more, you can use it as a noun, like in julefrokost, you can use it as a verb, as like in hygge sig, and you can also use it as an adjective, like det ret hygge. On a side note, language. So Danish grammar and vocabulary might not be the hardest, and you actually get a lot of support through free classes that are offered to all registered residents, thanks to the Danish taxpayer. But there is one problem that every foreigner suffers through, which is pronunciation. So very evil people, actually Danish people, said that, well, Danish sounds a little bit like a drunken Swede with a hot potato in the mouth, and that might be true. So it's really hard to get a hang of the sound of it, of understanding it, and also of talking it yourself at the very beginning. Luckily, almost everybody speaks near perfect English here, so it's easy to get by, especially at the beginning. But that also might tempt you from not learning the language at all, which is just a mistake, because through learning Danish, you will also be able to approach Danes more, and you will also probably understand the concept of hygge a little bit more. So coming back to hygge, the concept stretches from creating your cozy winter cave at home with candles and soft lighting to this cozy get-togethers with your friends, this relaxed being together, joking, playing games, etc. And especially around Christmas, this becomes hugely popular with something that is called julefrokost, which literally translates to Christmas lunch. Usually it's the afternoon or evening occasion where you get together with friends or also colleagues. So last week we had julefrokost with my division at university, and this was everything but your regular Christmas party. So basically we did the full set of Danish Christmas traditions, starting off with drinking gløgg and eating ældeskiver, then singing Christmas carols in 5 different languages. We had typical Danish Christmas food, so different types of herrings and meat pastry with rye bread. We got julefrokost, so typical Christmas beer. And finally had then ris à l'amande, which is rice pudding with one hidden almond in it to find out who's going to be the lucky one next year. And finally, we played a very mean game called pakkelej, where it's all about snatching gifts from each other, and this is possibly the only time, the only occasion where Danes can appear greedy or competitive in a social setting, as it's all about just piling up as many gifts as possible as soon as the clock runs out. But finally, when everything was done and over, everybody helped together to clean up the place, so from the head of the division downwards. And this is actually the last item on the favorite things of Denmark list I have, which is the equality and the lack of visible hierarchy here. So it took me a while to grow accustomed to it, but this very clear and direct communication with not tiptoeing around ranks and hierarchies, that is something that is actually quite relaxing and good for me to live in. So, bottom line, I actually enjoy my life here in Denmark, and I can only recommend it for others. It's a good place both to live and to study. And so this actually brings me to the end of my little video blog. I hope you enjoyed the last 4 weeks. You learned a little bit that is interesting for you. And so all that remains is for me to wish you all the best in your future potential PhD or your future potential move to Denmark. I wish you all the best, and here I say bye-bye and take care.